Blind of the New World is a Korean visual novel set in the dystopian future where everything from clothes to buildings to food is augmented with holographic displays, and where the small minority of people who can't see holograms have trouble navigating the world or even communicating. It's a touching tale about finding human connection and learning to see from someone else's perspective.
어때? 없어.
The protagonist of The Blind New World, high school student CJ, is blind, which in the futuristic setting means that the corneal implants that allow people to see holograms have failed. He can only see the physical world. Compared to the vibrant, colorful world perceived by everyone else, his world seems bland and uninviting. Additionally, prejudice against the blind means that he can't talk about his condition with anyone or get the accommodations he needs. For example, to see what the teacher is writing on the holographic blackboard during class. As a result, CJ ends up isolated and alone. One day, he meets a fellow student, Chu-yeon, who's advertising her classical arts club. Chu-yeon has become obsessed with the painting of what the school looked like under its holograms and is trying to understand that world through painting with physical materials. For some reason, CJ can see her clothing, an old-fashioned school uniform instead of the gray suit everyone else wears to project their holographic fashion, and he joins her club to try and figure out what's different about her. Blindness in the Blind of the New World is a multi-layered metaphor. From one angle, it's about how society treats the disabled and how society's inability to accommodate different people's needs can sometimes be a bigger problem than their physical limitations. On another level, it's about dealing with cognitive dissonance. Being in a liminal state between blindness and fully perceiving holograms causes characters mental and physical pain as their brain tries to figure out what's actually real. Living in this space is unsustainable. They need to choose either the isolation of seeing the world as it is or the pleasant lie of the holograms. On a broader level, it's about human connection in a technical world, about trying to communicate and understand others' perceptions through art, and that even having the same perspective on someone doesn't guarantee that you'll understand each other. You might simply be, as CJ ponders, two rails destined to follow the same path but never cross. The structure of the story is fascinating as the four endings branch off at different points. The first ending branches quite early as a short story with a conclusively happy ending, but during the remaining endings, the story gets longer and more complex, the metaphor more layered. The Blind of the New World is a beautifully written story with an excellent English translation. Some of the sci-fi aspects of the setting requires suspense of disbelief, but given the story's symbolic nature and focus on personal relationships, I wouldn't count that as a fault. The presentation is simple, generally a black screen with the dialogue set apart from a tiny image, a style reminiscent of older visual novels. The full CGs look nice, but most are repeated over and over in different scenes. For a story focused on seeing the general and visual arts specifically, I would have liked to see more variety and contrast. The soundtrack is also somewhat repetitive, although it sets the mood well. Both female main characters are fully voiced in Korean, and the voice acting is well done. The lack of voice acting for the protagonist when he's a fully realized character, not a player's self-insert, is a little disappointing, but not unexpected. I also would have liked to have subtitles for the bonus voice files unlocked when you complete the game. The Blind of the New World is an emotional, metaphorical story about two isolated, misunderstood people discovering a connection. Although I wish the presentation weren't so simple, the writing on its own is strong enough to hold your attention. The sci-fi and romance themes provide readers with a bittersweet edge to some memorable conclusions. Noisy Pixel is giving The Blind of the New World an 8.5 out of 10. Thank you for watching. Please read the full review at noisypixel.net. Noisy Pixel is run by a group of gamers who work hard to deliver news, reviews, previews, and more. Please subscribe to keep up with all our future content.
Noisy Pixel.